Hello, this video is not a tutorial, rather it's a note for myself that I make public. It's about the experience of trying to get a actually qt5 application working on the Raspberry Pi properly. With compiling somehow, right? This took me about 16 to 20 hours, maybe, because I was not sure about anything I did. Anyway. Let's get started. Let's say everything I did. First I had this nice page over here, which was very helpful. It shows how to cross-compile qt4 applications, and I went through everything that was written here, and probably with this tutorial I firstly installed the Qt tools on my Raspberry Pi, and finally it got to the point where here you see the files, and here you see another file, and unfortunately the make file was empty, and I don't have any clue about how to write make files. So I will post my make file in the description so you can copy and paste it, and I advise you to check out how make files work and how they are written. I don't have the tutorial I used anymore, but we have this nice tutorial over here, and this nice page, see the link, which explains things like this and this within the make file. Okay, so what was the problem? I didn't have a make file, but I had this output from this guy over here, so I typed in everything what he wrote in this picture, which took a lot of time already, and finally I got to some strange error that QtApplication, there's like an I'm not sure anymore, like unreferenced QtApplication whatever shit. Sorry, I should watch my language. Basically it said that it could not find this path. This was the result of my trying to cross-compile everything, and then I figured out actually I have all the tools that I need for compiling on my Raspberry Pi, and so I can also compile on my Raspberry Pi, which is basically no problem for me because that was the main goal I was heading for. So far, we still had some errors. I built my application with Qt5, and on my Raspberry Pi I have Qt4. So some things like the QStringLiteral are not available on Qt4. So you have to change that to this guy over here, QString from UTF-8, and here you get the name of the view. And let's skip into the Qt include directory of my Raspberry Pi. The basic directory is Qt4, and because I made everything with Qt5, it expects to have this folder, the QtWidgets, which basically have apparently the same stuff as the QtGui. So I just made a symbolic link, and then everything worked fine. That way I did not have to change any source files that were generated by the UI creator, I think it's called, yeah. Anyway, okay, next. So after every source was found, I still had the problem with this moc stuff, so the middle compiler for Qt4, and it seemed to do not work. And I really tried a lot of websites, a lot of stuff, and everything that when you ask for unreferenced whatever, then you always get like, just build again, just rebuild or clean up and stuff. I don't have any building tool, right? I just have my makefile, and I don't know what to do with it. So I will show you my makefile now, which is this one over here, beautiful in black. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So this is an SSH session, so we don't have any colors in here. Or is this because of SSH or because of my settings? I don't know. Anyway, okay, sorry, before we watch the makefile, let's look at the files. I had my main file, which was created by Qt. I had a number place doc cpp and h, which are totally not related to Qt. It's just like the logic, and then we have this view over here that uses the doc, and the view actually takes the Qt stuff. Also the main here takes a little bit of Qt, and we have this UI number place view. And let's take a quick look at this guy over here. Now we got some colors. You see that constructor, and in that constructor we open a file and do some stuff. just some basic logic. Before I changed it, so I added this init and the initialize method. Usually this stuff is created directly. Wait, where are we? So this is actually directly created inside the constructor here, and the delete is actually created directly in the destructor. And it says there's a pure virtual call inside the inside the destructor or the constructor, which is not allowed in C++. Bad. So I thought I'd be very smart if I just moved that to an initialize and deinitialize method, because I just wanted to get my stuff done, and call that after the constructor and destructor was loaded. I then still got the error on this line. On this, I don't know what's happening there. Probably related to the Qt macro stuff. On this line and on that line, I still got a pure virtual call, and I really didn't know what's going on, or my C++ is not that good. So I really had to care about that. It turned out that the problem is this moc file. So actually we don't care about this file as it seems. We rather care about the moc file. That is more important. Okay, so I had to get going with this moc stuff. So let's look at this makefile up here. I don't want to dive too deep into this makefile. I will post the content of this makefile in the description. Most of the stuff, like the buff stuff here, is a little bit stolen from some other help sites. Let's say borrowed, it's not stolen. And this guy used the Qt network, the GPIO, so I just commented it out. I was not sure if we really need that. I added the C++ standard because I'm working on 1.1, and now we get to everything we need. We don't need this stuff. I was, you know, when I saw this makefile the first time, it had like these kind of comments. They're really hard to understand for me as a newcomer, and that will explain what you see here. So I just, what actually everything that the script should handle on its own, I'm doing here on my own. So I take every file and compile it, make an object file out of it, and then combine everything together. This is what I'm doing here. So let me explain that. We had our two files. That's what the side by side. Okay, so remember, only these two need to get along with Qt, apparently. The main file was okay so far, because there was no virtual calls. So what I'm doing is, okay, here I'm creating my executable. You might understand or not. I hopefully you don't. Anyway, here I'm building my executable. Here, okay, sorry, had to reopen the file. Okay, on this thing here, this is the number place doc, right? The number place doc. I'm just making the object file in here because this is just usual C++, right? And for the main, it's okay with usual C++, everything we have. Then we have the number place view. We are actually taking the usual CPP file and making an object file out of that. And now we first look at this thing here, and this is the magical part. So we just put this one, the header file. So this header file, we put this header file into our mock qt4, I don't know, middle compiler, and get our mock file out of that. This is the very important part. And then we take that mock file and make an object file out of that mock file. So what was very hard for me to understand is that you have a header file that you will change first to a CPP file. Sorry, did I say object file out of here? We make an object file here, right? So we take a header and make a CPP file. I mean, we could call this probably .h maybe? I'm not sure how strict the compilers are with the endings. Anyway, apparently everybody uses .cpp, so everybody's making CPP files out of these Qt header files. So I did the same, and then we can make a usual object file out of that header file. Out of that moc.cpp file, which was a header file. What this does is basically it apparently makes some code for Qt. I did not dive into that so hard. Okay, and then what do we take for our executable? Let's look at that thing again. we take the number place document, which is usual C++. We take the number place view, which was the I always got these errors, by the way, when I was making the executable, not when I was trying to make the object file. So the object file worked fine. Then we take the main file, and then we also put in the mock file. So the important part, I guess, is to put this mock file together with this file, right? Otherwise, you will get all these strange errors. And after I did all that, everything worked fine. There was a lot of talk and a lot of maybe you don't need, and maybe nobody will ever watch this video, but at least I made this note. I wanted to post it on like Stack Overflow or write some stuff, but first, I don't have so much time, and second, if I post it on Stack Overflow, a lot of people will say, this does not belong here, this is a tutorial, or this does not belong here, nobody cares about that, or there are thousands of tutorials out there, and I didn't want to get all this bashing, so yeah, I'm just posting it here on YouTube.